Hey everybody, welcome to the movie review of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. So, yeah, you've probably all groaned or something like that because we are reviewing the least favourite of the Star Wars movies, but it's not the worst movie ever made, but I guess it is one of the weakest.
The worst Star Wars movie.
Yeah. So, let's talk about it.
Right, well, we might as well start from like the beginning.
Okay.
Politics.
A tragedy has occurred.
Which started right here with the taxation of trade routes and has now engulfed our entire planet in the oppression of the Trade Federation.
Yeah.
It's all about trade routes and this, that and the other and invading planets.
There's a lot of talking.
There's
a lot of Senate meetings and the stuff you don't really want to see, especially because they were trying to push it for kids.
Yeah.
And no kid wants to sit through a Senate meeting.
No. I mean, it's like the first few scenes, it is quite cool because it's the first time you see a Jedi properly. Because in Star Wars, all you had is Obi-Wan Kenobi sort of moving around a bit.
Yeah.
And then dying. In Empire Strikes Back, you see, obviously, the fight between Vader and Luke's quite cool, but it's not until the end, and Vader's quite stiff, and Luke's a young Jedi who doesn't really know. And Return of the Jedi, again, it's right at the end. And to be fair, they don't really use the lightsabers that much, really.
Yeah.
Especially not in Episode 1.
Yeah, there's no real Jedi Knights in it, really. There's a Jedi that's learning and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there's no actual Jedis anymore. There's no Jedi Council really anymore.
No.
So there's no Jedi Knights. There's no Jedis really.
So it's the first time you get to see a Jedi in action, and and Qui-Gon's good, and Liam Neeson was good as Qui-Gon.
Always remember, your focus determines your reality. Stay close to me, and you'll be safe.
Yeah.
Ewan
You've got that
McGregor.
kind of acting where you could just be all monotone, like a Jedi would be.
Yeah. The only thing I dislike about Ewan McGregor is the accent. Oh yes. I have a bad feeling about this.
The accent is a bit.
It is a bit, but I mean, I can see where obviously he couldn't be doing it. Oh, I've got a bad feeling about this, master. It would be a bit daft because he goes from like a broad Scottish accent to elegance. So I can see why he's doing it. But I mean, it is still quite cool. I mean, and the little bit of hair dangling down because he's a Padawan there.
Yeah.
I have a bad feeling about this.
I don't sense anything.
It's not about the mission, Master. It's something elsewhere.
And then, of course, Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar Binks, the greatest character ever created in Star Wars universe.
What were you thinking, George?
Mr. called Jar Jar Binks. Mr. your humble servant.
That won't be necessary.
Oh, but it is. 'Tis demanded by the gods, it is.
So everybody beats up on Jar Jar Binks, and I'm not really surprised because
Yeah, we're no different. We also beat up on Jar Jar Binks.
I can't think of anything good about him. He's just really annoying because I recently started watching the Clone Wars TV show, and Jar Jar's in that as well. And I thought maybe because of all the bad stuff they've changed him a little bit. No, not one bit. He's so annoying, but not as comedy relief because he was supposed to be like comedy relief, but he's gone beyond that. He's just annoying.
Yeah.
Because comedy relief is good. It's a good thing in movies and stuff, but when you push it too much, it just becomes so annoying.
It was sort of weird because he's a very slapstick comedy, and Star Wars never had slapstick.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
No.
It just doesn't work very well.
No.
And just the voice, I kind of understand the voice because it's a different accent for where he's from. He's a Gungan, and it's kind of I don't mind the he's a Gungan. I didn't get that
Yes.
wrong,
Yes.
did I?
No, you didn't
But
get it.
so I don't mind his accent, Misa stuff like that. That's fine, but it's everything he does. Other than that, all his actions, everything he does is just. It just makes me groan. It doesn't make me smile or laugh. Like, oh look, his tongue's gone numb because he touched the laser. Brilliant. No. It's just.
Let's kill the Jar Jar Binks rant. Let's go back onto the movie. Now, this is only a theory of mine, but I think one of the reasons why people hate Episode 1 so much is, and I don't think it's because of. I actually don't think. I think people might think it's because of Jar Jar Binks or because it's this or because of that. I actually think it's because it probably has the least amount of action.
Yeah, it's very talk heavy rather than action.
Yeah, and I think that's where it's been. I think that's where it goes. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, I will one day test this theory out by timing every single scene where there's a bit of action in. You know, as soon as the lightsaber gets ignited, action scene.
Yeah.
But I just got this really weird feeling that it's because of that.
Yeah, and I think they've done it because it's such a big gap between the last Star Wars and the new one. They've had to tell everybody what Star Wars is all over again for the new people might be coming into it. So they've had to but they've described everything too much and told everybody what this is, who separatists are, who Republic are, and just people get used to it. Just do all the action and fun.
It is too plot heavy, but the thing is, it's not even the plot.
It's just anything else.
It's all the filler. It's filled in. I mean, the plot is quite simple. You know, there's a blockade on the planet. They're not happy about it. You know, it's sort of a ploy to get the to get the Chancellor voted out because Palpatine wants to be voted in so he can start working his big plan.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a. It's not a complex. It's hard to describe, but it's easy to follow. It's sort of harder. So my next obviously the next pass, and then obviously they rescue the Queen and they go to Coruscant, and R2-D2 saves the day by fixing the ship. The Queen's another one of my problems. I liked Natalie Portman, don't get me wrong, but I think it's the whole age thing. I mean, she's 14 years old, and I said to Dan before, and she's a queen, right? And at first you think, well, she's a queen, yeah, royal blood, but then you find out through books or whatever, I think it's from books, that she got elected. So she was elected. She was voted in as queen, and the guy with the guy with the big beard who advises her to go with the Jedi. He was her opponent. And it's like, right, okay, so you've got an experienced politician who could rule the planet, or a 14-year-old girl. She'd have to be really, 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 really good. And the fact that within a couple of months of her reign there's a massive trade blockade. But then again, that might be a Palpatine thing. Maybe Palpatine had something to do with it. But then that's the thing you've got to think about too. And it's not that, no.
Our security volunteers will be no match against the battle-hardened Federation army.
I will not condone a course of action that will lead us to war.
Star Wars isn't about just overthinking everything and have a little bit. You're supposed to just be having fun with it.
In the original was, here's some bad guys, here's some good guys, they fight.
Yeah.
The good guys win.
Backflips, lightsabers, woo!
Yeah.
With a little bit of talking and story and bits going along with it.
Yeah.
So you enjoy the ride.
Yeah. So then, obviously, after escaping from Naboo, they go with Tatooine.
Mm-hmm.
And then we meet Anakin. Or Jesus. Technically he's Jesus because he has no father.
Yeah. So we meet Jesus, little baby Jesus.
Little baby Jesus.
Are you an angel?
What?
An angel. I heard the deep space pilots talk about them. They're the most beautiful creatures in the universe. They live on the moons of Viego, I think.
But one thing I have to say about the movie, because you mentioned Tatooine, is I've always had a soft spot for Phantom Menace because of Tatooine. It looks beautiful. Every time I think Phantom Menace, I think just the sand and how bright it makes the things to look, and with the pod race.
Yeah.
That's probably my favourite part of the movie, the pod races.
Yeah, the pod race.
It brings action into it. It brings actual, like, oh my god, I'm seeing something really fun, not talking.
Yeah.
And so I've always got a soft spot for Phantom Menace because of Tatooine. It just looks beautiful. It looks really nice. So I always think of the golden sands and the audience cheering for the pod races, and that's the most interesting part of the movie for me. I absolutely love that bit. So Anakin is there. We meet him.
He's in the pod race, and then the biggest mistake George Lucas has ever made. Other than Jar Jar Binks, is trying to explain that the Force is actually just tiny things living inside you.
Yeah, midichlorians.
Midichlorians.
It shouldn't have been explained. It should just be a mysterious thing that if you're chosen, you're chosen. Not just like, oh, you had some germs, so good. Yeah, look.
Hey!
Yeah, it's just
those
like,
germs can make you lift things.
So yeah, it was an overthinking of something that didn't need thinking about.
Surely, I mean, in one way, I can kind of see where I think I see where his thinking is. It's like he's trying to explain how Anakin is the one, the chosen one. And I think that was a bit of a weak thing as well. Oh, he's the chosen one. You know, it makes it sound like very religious, and even though technically Jedi is a religion. In Star Wars, and obviously religion in real life as well.
They should have made it a simpler thing, just saying, "Oh, he has a stronger link to the Force than everybody else."
Yeah,
it would have been simple then. Just he's a stronger link. That's
although
it.
Jedi can sense it.
Yeah,
they can sense.
The link
they can feel it. It's like an aura. You know, you can't see it, but you can feel it.
Yeah, because they're all linked to the Force, so maybe his is just a bit stronger. That would have been the simplest explanation. I'd have been like, "Oh, fair enough then."
But rather than that, to do the whole, "Oh, even Master Yoda doesn't have a count that high." What does it mean? No Jedi has. You know, it just made no sense whatsoever. However, at the end of the Tatooine is when we introduced properly to Darth Maul.
Anakin, drop! Go! Tell them to take off!
And again, I think one of the reasons why a lot of, myself included in this, why a lot of people like Darth Maul despite not liking the rest of the film, is because it's our first time whereas at the beginning it's our first time we see Jedi, we know who Jedi are, and we've seen a couple of Jedi now, we've seen Qui-Gon and stuff like that. We only know one Sith, or two Sith technically, because the Emperor's class as a Sith, but we only know one, and that's Darth Vader. So this is the first time we meet somebody who's not only a Sith, but is not half robot either, and can flip and can do cartwheels and backflips, and and he's quite and looks menacing. You know, you won't want to meet him in a dark alley.
Someone who's actually trained to be a Sith, rather than someone who just became it after being good for so long. He was trained to be badass, basically.
I was reading I read a lot of the expanded universe stuff, and there was a story about like a diary of Darth Maul, sort of thing, and it was saying that when he was younger, he was in a room and a spider came into the room, and it's a poisonous spider, and it went to bite him, and he flinched, and Darth Sidious was there, but he didn't know. He expected a punishment, but he didn't get a punishment. However, then that night, a couple of days later, he went to sleep, and hundreds of the spiders came out from his room and bit him all over, and he was all like paralysed and something. And then Darth Sidious came in and simply said, "Do not flinch again," and then walked out, leaving Darth Maul covered in bites. And so he was trained, and like some of the stuff I read, that it was like they tried to make it out like he was tortured. So he got that rage.
Because that's what they like. They like use your hate kind of thing. So
there was even a scene where there was even like a part of the book where he was saying that Darth Sidious mocked him and said, and like made him do this, like sent him out for like 20 odd days, and he had to survive on his own and get to this thing. And if he got to this one place, he'd then be a Sith Lord. And he got there, and Darth Sidious started laughing. He says, "You failed me! You and I have another Sith. I have another apprentice." And that was to get Darth Maul absolutely raging and attacking him, and that's when he realised that he was ready. Then he was fully trained, but then he became an assassin. There's so much on Darth Maul, but it's a shame that it had to all be explained. In books, in comics, and in games, rather than in
the movie.
Film.
It's just, "This is Darth Maul." That's it. It's like, oh, okay, there we go then.
Yeah,
and he has like 2-3 lines.
I'm actually going to try and think, or I think I can name all the lines that he goes, right. "Tatooine is sparsely populated. If the trace is correct, I'll find them quickly, Master. At last we reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we'll have our revenge. And, yes, Master." That's it. That's his whole line in all the movie. Criminally underused, especially when you consider how much screen time Jar Jar Binks got. And I'm not saying make it episode 1 Darth Maul.
But they did put his face on practically everything.
Yeah, he
He
was
the face of Phantom Menace, but he was hardly in it really.
I mean, on all the merchandise logo, it was black and white, like black and white stripes, and then on every single action figure, it was his face. On the posters, it's his face.
Yeah, they made him the face of it, but hardly put him in it.
Yeah.
It's weird,
I suppose he's the Phantom Menace, isn't he? But he's still sort of weak. And of course, then Obi-Wan Kenobi meets, and in a way, Obi-Wan Kenobi's a bit of a dick, really.
Why?
Well, he's like, we've brought around Jar Jar. Actually, I suppose in that way, no. I suppose he had a point about Jar Jar Binks. But he's like, why have I got a feeling we picked up another pathetic life form? And it's like, you're a Jedi, mate. Come on. Be a little bit more. You're meant to be like love all, a bit like a hippie, man. But
it's gonna be all pathetic.
Why have I got a feeling we picked up another pathetic life form? It's like, wow, that's quite harsh, Obi-Wan. And then obviously he's against Anakin being trained as well, So we see the Jedi Council, and that's pretty cool because you see Yoda and you see female Yoda. And we see quite a few Jedi. That's another disappointing thing about Episode 1. We see other Jedi, but we don't see them do anything other than sit in chairs.
Yeah, they sit and have a little chat.
And Samuel Jackson, it's like, you've got Samuel Jackson, and all you got him doing is sitting in a chair. Great.
It's not much use for him, was it?
So then, obviously the Senate scene.
Senate stuff again, so chat. Fun.
A tragedy has occurred.
Which started right here with the taxation of trade routes and has now engulfed our entire planet in the oppression of the Trade Federation.
Oh, it's over.
And then
back to Naboo. And meet Boss Nass. You saw no thinking, you saw Gordon's alive. That'd be so funny if that is what he really wants. Your son knows I'm thinking you are better. Oh, hang on a sec. Gordon's alive!
If you didn't get that reference, it's voiced by Brian Blessed.
Who, of course, was in Flash Gordon.
He has the biggest voice in the world.
Yeah.
We saw being friends.
So we've got to the end practically, nearly now.
There's the big battle, and I was watching this the other day, and I just thought, there's one thing I was thinking, and it's obviously the Queen taking back the palace. Yeah, that kind of made sense. Obi-Wan and Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn fighting, that made sense. The Gungans and the droids fighting, that made sense. How the hell does Anakin Skywalker get inside the Trade Federation ship? Because surely there'd be some sort of force field making sure that things could go out, but nothing could go in. And
yeah, I get you.
If he did go in, how come no one else followed him and did exactly what he did? That surely would have been, alright, it would have been a suicide mission, and it worked out for Anakin because he crashed first and then managed to turn the ship around. And this is pod racing. No, it's you in a plastic thing being waved around a lot. Woohoo!
Everything that kid said just annoyed me. What was the catchphrase? Wizard!
Wizard!
Wizard.
Did you know what though? I don't think he says that.
Doesn't he?
No. When he's, I'm sure, it's when he's doing his pod race and he's cleaning it up.
Yeah. Don't two kids high five and say wizard?
And no, all the kids come and see him and stuff like that, and they go, "Oh, Wizard Annie, it's your pod racer."
Wizard.
And again in the book, after he's won the pod race, that little rodent, that's meant to be Greedo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they're meant to have a fight because Greedo calls him a cheater and says you wouldn't have won that, and then they have a big fight and Anakin bashes his face in. And then Qui-Gon goes, "No, Anakin, you shouldn't do that." There's a lot in the book, in the novel of the movie that sort of missed out. Anyway, so yeah, the droid. Do you know what? Right, when I first saw it, I thought, "Oh, that's pretty good." That you look at it today though, and it is not dated well. The CGI on it is atrocious.
It's probably because CGI was coming in a lot better, so they just thought, fill it with CGI, it'll never date, it'll look amazing, kind of thing.
It's so cartoonish looking, and the shadows are really blocky, and it's just like
it looks like the year it was made, basically.
It looks like someone's gone, let's play a video game instead. And oh, sugar, we've got it on record.
Yeah.
It looks awful.
I'm on fire.
Then, of course, like I said, my favourite scene of the whole movie, and it's the only reason why I sort of like the Phantom Menace, is the fight at the end. Because that's a proper Jedi fight. It's like, Darth Maul coming out of the double-ended lightsaber. It's like,
yeah, that is ace.
It's like, what? It's a staff. Oh my god! And then he's like, and then it's like, so he can take on 2 Jedi, and you're like, wow. And he's just so cool, and he's flipping here, and he's flipping there, and he's using the lightsaber, and he's got his evil eyes, and, you know.
It is a good battle.
Yeah, and then he kicks Obi-Wan off, and again, I think that's quite amazing because you see Obi-Wan getting kicked off, and he falls quite a lot, and then he gets up, and then he jumps, and he does like a big Jedi jump.
So showing a few more force powers and stuff like that.
Yeah, rather than just going,
yeah.
There's all the droids you're looking for.
Yeah.
It's like, kicks and flips and jumps. And
yeah, unless you see a bit more what Jedis can actually do, rather than just all they do is wave their hands and lift things really, really slowly.
Yeah.
So that's good.
And then, like I said, you obviously Qui-Gon Jinn dies, and then there was
Spoiler.
spoiler. And then there was a load of uproar because it was like, well, hang on a sec, how come he didn't disappear like Yoda and Obi-Wan? So they had to go and explain that. So do you know what? In that way, I can kind of understand where Lucas is coming from, because if he didn't explain it all, you'd have people going, well, why did that happen? All right, because that's what people kicked off like. Why did Qui-Gon Jinn not disappear?
But didn't they knew they were going to disappear, so they could prepare for it?
Yeah.
Like Yoda prepared, and Figgy even said, "When you strike me," he was like preparing.
Yeah,
for it.
he's preparing himself.
But Qui-Gon just happened, dude. It's a surprise, wasn't it?
But then he kind of confused everyone even more, because in episode 2 there's that scene where Yoda's meditating and he hears Qui-Gon, and then he tells Obi-Wan in episode 3 that Qui-Gon knows how to come back to life. Or he was learning it.
Yeah.
I think he was I don't think he was fully, actually, because it was a surprise, he wasn't fully prepared.
Yeah.
And they learn it. So, but like I say, it's that sort of thing where he has to go into detail. It's just like, why don't you just accept that some Jedi disappear and some don't?
Yeah. It depends how powerful you are, I guess.
Yeah.
More powerful you are, the more you can prepare, more this blah 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 kind of thing.
And it's like, and again in episode 5, where Luke asks Yoda, is the dark side more powerful? And Yoda says, no, only in your mind. Yet at the very end scene, right, you've got Master Yoda and Master Windu, and they go, oh, which one was destroyed, the Master or the Apprentice? And right there is the Master going, meh. You're like, I'm stood right next to him, and I'm like, which one was destroyed, the Master or the Apprentice? Like, there's a Sith Lord literally in spitting distance away. That's got to be quite. I mean, I know like the dark, but surely it's like they say like the dark side shrouds everything. Okay, but again, would it not be stronger? Would it not feel the dark side? Or even feel like the clouding of the dark side stronger? Because obviously, if you're right next to someone, you're going to need a lot of repellent to show that they're not there, and be like, hang on a sec, it's really dark, or it's really shrouded over there. It's all right over there though. It's and I get it confused me because there's a lot more Jedi than there is Sith. So to have 2 Sith being able to shroud every single Jedi and be and be only a stone throws away and not know and be able to block all of their senses, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
So I think Yoda was talking a bit of rubbish when he was saying that the dark side was not as strong.
It's confusing some of it.
Yeah. And then, of course, the final scene. Peace!
So, all in all, it's
pants.
Yeah, it's a pants movie. But it has some nice, like I said, with the pod racing thing, my favourite scene, I love the look of it.
It has some redeeming features, like you say, the pod race, the look of some of the planets, and Darth Maul.
But the actual scenes with it all in,
quite weak.
Yeah.
There's a lot more weak scenes than there are strong.
Yeah.
Like, so you can say the pod race and the final battle and the lightsaber duels are all quite strong.
Yeah.
They're really good.
Everything in between is just like you're just waiting for the good bits to happen, and you shouldn't have that in a movie.
No.
So yeah, if you was gonna give it out of 10, what would you give it?
A 4. Only because of Darth Maul. Without Darth Maul, it would have got a 2. So
Okay.
Darth Maul is to me, he's the saving grace. It probably would have got a bit higher if it didn't have Jar Jar Binks, but it has Jar Jar Binks, so it goes really low. Darth Maul brings it back a bit, you know.
Yeah, I'd give it a 4 as well for pod racing for me, because I just thought that was quite a cool idea to change it rather than just Jedi stuff and everything.
Yeah.
Just it's something completely different. Just like this thing called pod racing. Let's just see all that. It's quite nice. So I can do like that, and I'm pretty sure episode 1 had the little cameo of ET in it as well in the audience. I think he's in episode 2 as well, wasn't he?
I don't know.
In the Senate.
It might have been.
Or it might have just been 1.
Definitely in episode 1, and of course there's the E.T. theory, isn't there? Have you seen that?
E.T. is a Jedi.
And do you know what? I first
Makes
thought,
so much sense.
The only thing that makes me think, oh my god, yes, is that when in E.T., when he walks past that kid dressed as Yoda, he goes, friend.
Yeah.
He says friend. He doesn't just look at Yoda, he goes, friend.
Yeah.
Now, why in hell earth would he say friend to Yoda if he wasn't a Jedi?
And plus with the bike bit, he did kind of use the Force to
Yeah.
make him fly over.
It's just like, oh my god, he's a Jedi. Like I said, everything else you could say, like with E.T. being in Star Wars and using the Force, you could say, oh, maybe. But it's just the whole kid walking past as Yoda and him going, friend, that has me convinced.
But that's the confusing thing though, because how do humans know about Yoda? So it's kind of like a... But yeah, it's a nice little cameo anyway.
Yeah.
But all in all, yeah, I reckon 4 out of 10 is alright, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely the weakest.
It's not the worst movie ever made, but it's the worst Star Wars movie ever made, definitely.
Well, to be fair, we've not watched the Ewok movies yet.
They've got to be better.
So we may re-review those scores after we've watched the Ewok movies.
And one day we'll have to watch this Star Wars Christmas special.
To be fair, that's a Christmas special, not a movie, so
Yeah,
you can
I
get
guess.
away with that one.
But yeah, that was a very long review of Star Wars The Phantom Menace for Star Wars Week. So yeah, sorry if you groaned all the way through it because it is Phantom Menace. We're not reviewing one of the greats, but it's a Star Wars movie. It had stuff in it and it was okay, but yeah.
To be fair, that was my idea, because my idea of thinking about it is because each year we'll do the next episode. So next year we'll be focusing on episode 2 in terms of figures, in terms of other things, and the year after that, episode 3.
How many years are we going to be able to do
4, 5 and 6, and then by then we would have had loads of stuff for episode 7, 8 and 9. So, you know, I just think it's, I just think it makes more sense to focus on one episode and then move on to the next one.
Plus
Because
we've got
you're going to
new
get
Star Wars movies coming out, so we'll be doing this forever. Every year.
Exactly, yeah. So it's quite cool in that sense.
Yeah. So may the Force be with you, and thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, etc. And hope you enjoyed it.
Oh, wrong
See,
film.
See you soon.
Bye.
I'm the only human who can do it.
You must have Jedi reflexes if you race bots. Don't do that again.